It's Webber's Wednesday, so time to take a look at North Devon's property market. Board Director of Webber's Estate Agents, Lindsay Braddick, joins us. Good morning.
Good morning, Laura.
Right, now, so we're talking today, it's weird, isn't it? Because we're sort of going into autumn now, but the summer's just started, so it's a bit confusing.
And the children have gone back to school, so of course the summer has started.
Absolutely. So what's the summer been like then for the property market in North Devon?
The summer hasn't been as bad, I think, as everybody, was expecting. Obviously, we have had some pretty horrendous weather, which does tend to sort of send some people to ground, shall we say, because the sunshine does bring everybody out, and this is what we need to do, and we want to move to the West Country, etc., etc. But for us here, it's been ticking over pretty well. I think all these changes, obviously, with Bank of England base rate, etc., and increases in mortgages is still affecting people on, knowing what to do and when is the right time still to move. So I think it's just trying to get some stability for people.
Is there an answer to that? Because we're in a very uncertain time, aren't we? People want dates, don't they? When is it all going to be okay?
Well, I have to say, it is worrying, and I think everybody is concerned as to where we are in the UK at the moment. But I think from the point of view from vendors, they have to get their head around the fact that we aren't in, that 2020, 21, and even part of 22. Times are different. We are back to traditional market whereby, you have to be sensible, you have to be realistic with those asking prices. If some people are, over-egging their prices, they will not get that foot traffic. So we are back to a bit of a buyer's market. So it's gone on the other foot now. So buyers have got time to be able to, pick and choose those properties, make those offers before rushing, because before, if they didn't offer, they lost them, and we were going into bidding wars. Now it's making sure that you are, setting your stall out right from the beginning. Okay. That's what I would say.
And then going into September now then, so, we mentioned the schools going back. For a lot of people, this is like a fresh start, isn't it? We're sort of resetting, I suppose, this month. Will that look the case as well if we're sort of looking to move?
I think, as I said, the bit that we've got hanging over us still at the moment is, the next meeting for Bank of England is, I think it's 21st of September. Speculation is that there could be another rise, moving forward prior to Christmas. Whether it will be September, I don't know. But again, it is concerning for people because, cost of living everywhere, isn't it, is affecting all of us. But we do know everybody, has a reason for moving, whether they're upsizing, downsizing, family, the dreaded, debt divorce, and etc. But I think it's setting everything, being prepared. Buyers need to be prepared. Vendors need to be prepared as well. So what they can't do, they were doing before, when perhaps people had more money to play with. If they needed to do certain works to their property to make sure they were presented to the very best, they perhaps could have, builders in to do general bits and pieces. Now people are looking, what can I do myself to make the best of this house so that it's presented in the very best condition for those buyers, because your property's got to rise to the top to appeal to those buyers who are, as I say, have a huge choice of the market that can pick and choose. So, people are going to be making sure that, when they look, is it in their top three? Will it have, are they going to have to spend any money on those properties?
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned people have got a lot of options, but I guess for a lot of people, there are fewer choices as well, aren't there, to be able to make now? If money is tighter, you might not have as much to spend on a property, thinking one to do up if you can't afford to do it up yourself. And then I suppose on the other side, when you're selling, you've got fewer options perhaps.
It's all those, moving at the end of the day, it costs everybody money. There's solicitors, there's us dreadful estate agents, there's removals, there's surveys, etc. You've got to have some money put away for that. So that preparation is important. And those people that are looking to buy, they must make sure that they speak to the, financial advisors beforehand so they know what they can borrow. So when they're offering on something, that mortgage is in place. I think what concerns a lot of people is, what if it does go down? What if the rate does go down and we've fixed into a higher rate, etc.?
Yeah.
That's the worry for people. But we can only advise where we are week on week. That's the problem, isn't it? None of us can see into the future. But I think with inflation going down, it is looking much better than it was, but we are still a way off to where they want it to be. But a lot of the lenders, I think in the last month, pulled a lot of fixed rate mortgages, some of the deals that were out there. When they start to do that, that's usually because they think there's going to be another rate rise.
Okay. Because
of the uncertainty. So do speak to advisors, be prepared, and make sure you've got everything in place, because there's nothing worse than offering on a property and then going to see your advisor afterwards, and then it's actually you can't borrow that anymore. So you're stuck, and it saves a lot of time and effort and heartache, for both them as a buyer and for our vendors, if they are changing their minds, etc.
Yeah, it's so difficult when you put yourself in that situation. If you find a house that you like and you want it and you need it now, everything else doesn't matter, does it? You have to sort of almost put your grown-up head back on.
Absolutely. I think it's, as I say, we know it's worrying times for everybody. The only bit that I do look at for us here, as I said, in the southwest, or certainly here in North Devon more so, we do have a little bit of a bubble still. We have our own little bubble. And to me, I always sort of will say where we are locally in our market as opposed to nationally. We still have people that want to, relocate down here. We do live in a fabulous part of the world, so there's still people looking to move and have that lifestyle change. So, I think sometimes our part, we're a little, shall I say, better than some of those other areas across the country.
Yeah, and I'm sure we've spoken about this before, and I know Malcolm said something similar, but it's also about changing the conversation, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff that we read in the papers, the horrific words that jump out at you about this sort of thing that frighten you, and it's about sort of changing that conversation to become a bit more positive about it.
Yeah.
And, you can achieve more then, can't you?
We just have to be, honest with vendors and realistic, and make sure that they fully understand, how the housing market has changed. It's very difficult when they were aware of perhaps a neighbour's property 2 years ago having achieved, 50,000 more, etc. We have seen that dip in prices, or definitely a levelling out and a slight dip if they are, too much to start with. So if you're sitting down and thinking, I do want to sell, I have to sell, I definitely want to be able to move, you do need to sit down and have that conversation with your agent. What is going to sell my property? Where do I need to be? Because if you don't get anybody in through the door, you won't get any offers. So, if people are, as I said, too much money, buyers are reasonably savvy. They can see what other properties are selling for, or have sold for, shall I say, through all the online areas, etc.
Yeah.
So I think you've just got to be honest, and things are still selling. It's not complete doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And as I said, the sunshine will help.
Let's all get out there now, quick, sell your house.
It is, absolutely.
Does it make your job difficult as well? Because obviously we're talking about the uncertain times and us not knowing from 1 month to the next where we're going as buyers and sellers and whatever. But as an estate agent, as our sort of trusted voices, does it make your positions difficult? Because you're just the same as the rest of us, aren't you? It's all changing.
Oh, absolutely. We were, those times before we were run off our feet.
Yeah.
We've got to work hard now, and we've got to make sure we're giving the right advice, to all clients, to be, and that's what I'm saying again, it's being honest. You don't want to shall I say, over promise something and under deliver. There's nothing worse than that, because your vendors, you've told them something, and they trust you.
Yeah.
You know, you're the expert. They're not. And as I said, it's different. If they haven't been in this marketplace before, and you have to look at it, a lot of first-time sellers, it's so different for them. They've not gone through that experience before.
Yeah.
They've bought a house, but they haven't sold. So, you know, and of course, lots of them will listen to what lots of other people say. Oh, you can get more money than that for it, etc. You know, if the buyers are there, we will find them and we'll get the right money for you. But you can, again, if that offer that's on the table seems fairly sensible and reasonable, look at it. If you're looking to buy on, can you make it work? You know, can you negotiate on your next onward purchase? You know, it's the word is in negotiator. You know, that's it. We're having to negotiate for our vendor, for our buyers, so that it's all doable and works for everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned about, you know, potential buyers, I suppose. We talked about some tips there, didn't we, about making sure you can afford it in the first place, speak to a financial advisor. Is there anything else you'd pinpoint people to do if they're thinking of buying?
Well, I think the bit that, you know, you have to be mindful of, you know, cash is hard for everybody at the moment. So you've got to be mindful of your spending, you know, with regard to that, because it will affect your borrowing. This is the bit when you know, certain lenders, if there's, you know, people have bad credit, etc., there are still lenders out there, but you do tend to pay higher rates for it. So, you know, just be careful. And when you're looking at, as I said, if you're going to put your property on the market, what can you do reasonably that will make the best of it? The dreaded thing like decluttering. Now those children have gone back to school. You can rummage under the bed and get all those toys out that they haven't played with for years and years, get rid of the rubbish. Do you know what I mean? The general freshen up. Now we've had all that rain for a time. Gardens should be looking nice and lush. So if you have got garden space, make sure it looks the best that it can, because when the weather's good like this, people are going to be able to go out in the gardens and view the gardens, you know, when they're out on their viewing appointments. You know, previously people sometimes would get to a property for a viewing, look out the back patio doors, etc., because it was so wet and miserable. Yeah. They're not perhaps out there. Now they're out there and saying, God, this is a fantastic space. The sun does make people feel different. And, you know, September is traditionally a good month for selling houses. But those people looking to do so now, with the timescales, if you get a buyer fairly swiftly, you should be in before Christmas. You know, that's the bit. So it's now, if you're looking to try and get a home before Christmas, etc., you know, you should be looking to be able to achieve a buyer fairly soon, because that's the sort of timescale it's taking still for things to go through. Okay,
so we need to get on it now. It's like those sofa adverts, isn't it? You buy it now and it'll be in place for Christmas.
Absolutely, it's crazy, and I cannot believe how quickly, you know, that summer has gone. Yeah. And as I said, it's lovely to see the sun, but it does make people feel a lot better and a lot more optimistic. So, you know, I think it is just planning, you know, preparation, get all of that in place, isn't it? And seek, you know, the right advice, and just sort of think, if you really do need to move, you know, what do I need to do to make sure I can get the best price? And as I said, your agent will tell you. They'll look round your home and be able to say, this is what will enhance your property. Because as I said, more than before, there's a lot more stock on the market for people to choose from. You need to make sure yours is at the top of the pile, you know, as opposed to a lot of those other properties. What is going to stand out in yours as opposed to the others? Price will be one of them, obviously, but, you know, if you've got parking, you know, if you've got a driveway that can allow 2 cars, try and make sure that it shows that you can park 2 cars, you know, rather than have, you know, anything on the drive that's obstructing it, etc. It's a bit of common sense when you come down to it, but it will be what people will, you know, take note of, because if they are doing a drive-by, they're going to do that, and I'm sure lots of agents out there will get the same as us. You know, they're a call and, we've just done a drive-by and we don't really think it's for us. So make sure that property is looking the best it can, with your wheelie bins out the way, you know, tidy gardens, nice and clean and tidy everywhere. All your children's scooters and bikes not on the driveway. All those bits and pieces.
We're loving North Devon. This is The Voice.